What's going on, friends? When it comes time to put a cam in your motorcycle, this is one of the most exciting performance upgrades you can do considering the price and the level of power output that you're going to get. But I often get asked, what all do I absolutely have to do to install a cam? Because once you crack the engine open and you're already there, it just keeps going. So guys, if you've been in the catalog and you've looked at upgrading the cam in your bike, no matter whether it's an Evo, a twin cam, or a Milwaukee 8, the price looks good, but you also see all the other accessories in there, and you're going to get a ton of opinions on what you need to do while you're in there. And of course, my opinion, I'm just another one of those opinions out there, but a lot of people ask me, what do I absolutely need to do to put a cam in? Do I need to get the cam plate? Do I need to get the oil pump? Do I need to change my lifters? Well, it all depends. It depends on what bike you're riding, if it's an Evo, twin cam, or Milwaukee 8, and it really comes down to deciding on how far you want to take it, how much do you want to spend, and basically whether you're doing the work yourself or not. Please don't forget, if you enjoy the video today, please don't forget to drop me a like on the video. Tell that YouTube algorithm we have a wonderful community over here and help get the content recommended to others. And while you're down there, if you would please consider subscribing to the channel. So usually what happens is you look in the catalog, you find a cam you like, and you're like, man, this thing's like 350 bucks. I get this amount of gains from it, and that sounds awesome. But then you keep looking, there's cam plates, there's oil pumps, and you start wondering, do I really need to do that or not? Well, like I mentioned, it depends on what engine that you have. Now, say you have an Evo. You can buy a aftermarket cam for an Evo motor, the good old 80-inch 1340 Evo. You can get a cam in that thing for less than $200. I mean, 150 bucks can buy you a brand new cam, depending on where you buy it. Now, when it comes to an Evo, number one thing that you do want to change out is go ahead and put a new inner cam bearing in it. Need it or not, just go ahead and change it. They're like 20 bucks and it's very cheap insurance. Not only that, if you have the INA cam bearing in there, get that thing out of there, put the Torrington in there. Now, where the price jumps on the Evo is when it comes to the lifters. The pushrod angle on the 1340 Evo is rather harsh, and these engines tend to eat lifters by about 40,000 miles. Now, for example, if you have a bike that has 20,000 miles on it, and you're going to go ahead and put a new cam in it, you've already got some wear and tear on those 20,000 mile lifters. And with the stock cam, let's just say you had 20,000 miles of life left in them before you'd want to get in there and change them. Now, you're already down in there, you're putting in a higher lift cam, you're going to put more stress on those lifters. Yes, you could go ahead and go back with the original lifters that are in it. Might be fine, might not be. It's mechanical. It's going to be a roll of the dice. But I would recommend changing those lifters out, put a fresh set in there with that new cam that's going to have the higher lift. Set of lifters is going to run you about 250 bucks, so even with the price of the cam, you're still in pretty good doing a cam swap on the Evo. Especially if you're paying somebody to do this, the last thing you want to do is go back with the old lifters and then turn around and have to pay somebody to go back in and swap your lifters again. Now for twin cam models, doing cam swap on those, twin cam guys automatically get screwed because there's two cams in there, so obviously they're going to be a little more expensive getting two cams put in. But on the twin cam models, really the same thing. You want to change out your inner cam bearings. Go ahead and change the cam bearings out. That way it's cheap insurance, don't have to worry about it. But when it comes to a cam plate and an oil pump, do you necessarily have to have those to do a cam swap? Not necessarily. But once again, while you're in there, you're already in there. You've already got all that stuff out. So it's an opportune time to change it. But if you don't have the cash and you want to do it later, I would highly recommend waiting to do the cams and buy it. Go ahead and buy your cams and then save up and buy it, because it's going to cost you more later if you're not doing the work yourself to get in there and change it out. Is putting a billet cam plate and a high performance oil pump in there absolutely necessary? No, it's not. But it is recommended because it does help better support the higher lift cam, and also you get better oiling with more oil volume, putting more power in the bike. All those things kind of go hand in hand. But as long as you're not putting an extreme cam in there, if you're just doing a bolt-in cam, the stock cam plate, oil pump, they'll generally be fine for what you're doing right there. Although it is recommended to go ahead and change out your tensioner shoes while you're in there. Even if you have the hydraulics, go ahead and change them out. And for sure, if you have an 88, go ahead and put the new spring tensioners in there if you're not doing a new cam plate and upgrading. And along with your tensioner shoe upgrades, if you're just replacing the spring tensioners or you're replacing your hydraulic tensioners, go ahead and throw a new set of cam chains in there to go with your new cams and your new cam bearings. Once again, that is just cheap insurance if you're not going all the way with swapping out to a billet cam plate and a high volume oil pump. Now, if you're wanting to do a cam swap on your Milwaukee 8 engine, as you all may know, there is that elusive little something issue that nobody's really ever been able to completely solve it. Just kind of like it happened with the first couple of years of the 88. The Milwaukee 8 had some issues with oil sumping the first few years there. Now, Harley-Davidson has come out with a new updated oil pump. So if you're doing a cam swap on your Milwaukee 8, you don't necessarily have to go out and put a billet cam plate in it and a race pump. Although it is highly recommended that if you have a 2017 to 2019 model, to go ahead and swap the oil pump. Now, if you have a 2019 model, you need to make sure that the oil pump that's already in that bike isn't the updated one, because late production's 2019 actually got the upgraded oil pump. 2021 and 2020 models have the updated pump. But once again, when it comes to the M8, that is really the only thing that you need to worry about, is going ahead and getting your oil pump updated. You don't have to do it. You could go back in with the stock oil pump, the original, the old style design, and rely on basically a vented dipstick or vented trans cover to try to help alleviate the sumping issues. But once again, it is still highly recommended to go ahead and get that oil pump swapped along with the cam bearing as well. And depending on how many miles are on your M8, putting a new cam chain in it wouldn't hurt either. If you got something about 20,000 miles or more, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and do that. So I guess the most general question that gets thrown my way about a cam swap is, do I need to change my lifters? Well, there's a lot of opinions out there. A lot of people are going to tell you, no, you don't need to change your lifters. It's a roller lifter. It's not going to hurt anything. I personally like to change the lifters out when I put a new cam, just for the fact of that lifter. Even though it's a roller lifter, it's still making contact with that old cam lobe, and then you're putting in a new cam lobe, and it's running on the same roller that your old cam lobe is running on. So for me personally, I like to change out the lifters. But if it's 20,000 miles or less, I don't feel too bad about not changing out the lifters. If you got 20,000 miles or more on it, I like to go ahead and change the lifters out. Now, when it comes to the Evo, changing the lifters, that's almost a must-do for me. I have to change those out. But that's kind of a judgment call for you on whether you want to spend the extra money to change your lifters on your Evo. But as I've mentioned, they do tend to go out about 40,000 miles, even with the stock cam, and obviously a higher lift cam, that's going to exacerbate that wear. So another topic that's come up a lot in the comments that I've been asked quite frequently is putting a higher lift performance cam in my bike. What's this going to do to my fuel economy? Well, there's two schools of thought on that. You've got a higher lift cam, it requires a little more air and fuel, so that's going to increase consumption. Well, I kind of come from the school of thought that the higher lift cam, you're making the engine more efficient. So you're going to be getting more power at any given throttle position. So generally, your fuel economy is going to stay right about the same, or maybe even increase a little bit. But to be honest with you, when you get a new cam in the bike and you get that new power, it's just been my experience that your fuel economy goes way down, because once you have all that newfound power, it's really hard to stay out of the throttle. And obviously running it wide open and running it up all the time, feeling that power, that's going to use a lot more fuel. So generally, when you're doing performance upgrades like a cam on your bike, the fuel economy loss is usually on the rider. So guys, a lot of my video topics come from you, the viewers. You guys are sending me emails, you're leaving me comments. Keep that up. I love getting your questions. I love answering your questions. I love throwing my opinion out there to try to help you guys out to make your bikes what you want to make them. And also that if you're looking to upgrade your bike, I love helping you guys out to where you're not going in blind to buying parts or just trusting what the dealer's telling you. I really appreciate you guys are asking me for a second opinion on these things. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. I really hope that this video kind of helped answer some questions for you about what you need to do when swapping a cam. Are all these things absolutely necessary to be done? Well, like with anything, you get into the engine, it always turns into a while you're there situation. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. Please continue to leave your comments and video suggestions. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. But until next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge the cars, and I'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.